Meeting called to order. Helping ordinance.
At 18:05.
Are you ready for me?
Ready.
All right, if you go to your packet and look at the front sheet, this is how we, and the reason we're here tonight, I think the mayor referred a request from Peanut Johnson, who had come up and talking about the, we don't post pink slips on people's doors anymore. And so his request was, can we take that money, as opposed to the town keeping it, can we do it as a rate stabilization or eliminate the charge for the residents? Okay, because we're not doing the pink slip. All right, so we wanted to make sure everybody knew what the current deal was. So currently, if it's not paid by the last business day, 5% penalty is applied to the bill the next business day. If the bill is still not paid by the 5th of the month, a $12.50 service fee is applied. If the bill is not paid by the 15th of the month, a $12.50 reconnect fee is applied. When I started working here, probably 9 years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Good Lord. That was $25, and now it's $12.50 for that reconnect fee. So the town already cut that in half 4 or 5 years ago. All right. So if you look at the calendar, that shows exactly what that is, and the calendar's on the next page. That's what we're currently doing. I would make an appeal to you guys. If you look to the right-hand side of that front page, you can see the year-to-date collected is $54,115.99. Is that, and that's the past 12 years, or 12 months?
Yes.
The last 12 months. So it's not a calendar year or a fiscal year, it's just the past 12 collection cycles. And on the cutoff, because there's fewer people on cutoff than there are on the late list, the collection is $9,537.50. The $12.50 is the charge that's applied because we have to do when we used to do the pink slips. The first, that brings in $54,000.
Really, we still do all of the same work in the office, just the pink slips are taped to the customer's door. But we still do all the work to get that.
Still a processing.
Right.
And I get it's popular to do those kinds of things, but I do want to point out, if you are going to make a modification, please note that $54,115.99, we take $50,000 of it and do weatherization programs. That's how we renovated Deborah Dagner's house. And we're going to put some in Mary Johnson's home, weatherization money to put the additional room on the back of the house. So we already used that money, and not for the town's keeping it. That's the $50,000 we use to have a weatherization program. We've probably done 6 or 8 houses in the past couple of years here in town where we put insulation in homes, and not necessarily. We built a brand new house with weatherization money. We have done that. Okay, and that was over in your district, over on Stoke Street. That was a weatherization home, and that was the one project we did that year.
Yeah.
$50,000. So I implore you to think through. There's more to just get rid of it, and it's a noble cause, and I get that. However, I will have to recommend to council on the next budget cycle that the weatherization be reconsidered, because that really is what we're using to pay. We're not taking away from people's payments or any of that kind of stuff. It's those late charges, and we turn it right back into the community every year. We turn it back into.
What did you say you will recommend?
I'll recommend it legal like it is.
No, what did you say you will recommend the council? You just said you will recommend something?
I'll just recommend that if council can, leave it like it is. If you choose to eliminate that fee, then I have to recommend that you gotta cut back on weatherization program.
Yeah, and then you still gonna have people complaining about, houses need to be repaired. So I say leave it like it is.
I say leave it like it is.
I mean, because we giving it back to the community.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to keep it like it is.
I'll second.
It goes back into
Yeah.
Stoke Street, Center Street,
Right.
Yeah.
Amelia Avenue, Harris Street, we did a house. So
All right.
that's what we've been doing with the money. And we just started the weatherization program probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We haven't done it very long, but we've probably done it 6 years.
All right, we have a motion
It's a good
second.
idea because it's helping the community.
Yeah,
Houses,
absolutely.
improving
All in
it.
favor?
Aye.
All right.
I'm done, may I leave?
You may leave now.
I'm going to get my release now.
Have a good night. Drive safely.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you for all your hard work.
As far as rate stabilization fund, we are working with the finance committee now to come up with an idea on how can we set aside some funds every year that are not gonna be spent on anything. They're not gonna be a capital reserve, but these are funds that can help us in the event we get a big increase one year, instead of having to go up 8%, we can maybe go up 6% or something like that, 5%, reduce the amount of increase. Dan Martin and Jennifer Hardy are gonna be, and they have talked to the finance committee already. He wants to do something that will itemize your utility bill, okay? And so, just like Southside Electric does, just like Dominion does, you'll have a base charge, and then you'll have riders that fluctuate. They go up, they go down, they go up. Fuel adjustment is now, but your bill will have a few more riders. The biggest of which is something called a true up, okay? And what Dominion Power does with us at VEMA, Virginia Municipal Electric Association communities that buy our power from Dominion, and there's 7 of us, okay? At the end of the year, they'll come back to see if they charged us enough, or if they overcharge us during the course of the year, okay? And as a result, the July, August, and September bill will reflect either money to or money out. I don't know if you remember, one of my first years here, we had like $100,000 that had to go out on a true up. And we didn't have money to make payroll. I was like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna fix? So we ended up dealing with it, okay? Because they gave us 3 months, and that's where the 3 months came in to pay it, okay? Last year, over the 3 months, we received $125,000 to us. We did not spend it, we set it aside, okay? It's in that $3.7 million that we just sitting in the bank. This coming year, I think it's gonna work to our disadvantage. I think Dominion Power, and I've got a handout I can provide to council, I think Dominion Power is gonna go up a bunch on rates because they have to decommission these coal-fired plants. He gave us a whole list. The coal ponds have to be cleaned out. They're gonna pass on a portion of that back to VEMA, of which we're 3.8% of the consumption of the VEMA community. So what we wanna start doing is start creating a set-aside. So when we have these big fluctuations in true-up, on the good years, we don't spend it, it sits. On the bad years, we pull it in and use it, to keep the rates down. So the finance committee is really dealing with that one, and, but at the next council meeting, unless I forget and Jennifer doesn't make a minute for me, we will give you a copy of that VEMA chart of why and potentially what are the increases. All right.
So,
Yes, sir.
can I go back to item 1 just one more time? For everybody. You see, I don't know whether Peanut didn't know or he just didn't care, but can we get this, thrown up so, they'll understand where this money is going and,
Reflected in the minutes, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can cover that anyway because we having it as a meeting for the committee, so you can bring it up anyway, right?
Yeah, we'll be ringing up council anyway.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is, so everybody understand, cause, some people might not know that this is where this money's coming, where this money's coming from.
That's the reason I was able to sit back and say, I can justify weatherization 5 years ago, 4 years ago when we started doing it. And I truly do take those late fees, we set them aside, and then we distribute them to folks. Now remember, on weatherization, people make payments back to us.
Right.
Small payments, it's based on ability to pay. Some smaller than others. But we take that money back, we keep it in a pool, and then we lend it to somebody else. And lend it to somebody else. So we keep our payments itemized. It's not a lot. I think we probably collect $1,500 a month. But we keep it in a fund, and we just had a lady over on East Street, had a fire in her panel box. We put a new panel box and put a 100 amp service on her, or 200 amp service on her house. Stuff like that. We replaced her sewer line. It was backing up. I don't have the money, how do I do it? So she makes payments back to us. We got the work done. A&A did the plumbing, and Matt Shackleton did the power. And we got it all taken care of. And so Matt Shackleton was concerned because there was literally black soot on the inside of the panel box. Got hot. But nonetheless, weatherization is great, and we're pleased with it, and we will be doing some additional houses come the 1st of July. We'll be able to replenish with that 54, put it back in there, and then we'll take on another series of houses. But the money for this current year is committed to Ms. Dagger on Center Street, and then a portion of Mary Johnson's house, because we needed to put an addition on her house, and we committed money to do that.
Okay, so after that area, what area you coming into?
We can go anywhere in town, and
Boogie Tucker, is you checking into that?
I've given the phone number for the daughter
Okay.
to Yvonne. The daughter called me the other day, so there are plenty of applications now. I bet you've all got, I'm not exaggerating, 40 or 50 applications. But there's not a specific neighborhood. That's the beauty of weatherization. We can go anywhere. Whereas East End, we got to be on these 2 streets or these 3 streets. On weatherization, they could do a house on College if they chose to. They could do a house on Fifth Street. They could do a house on Harris. Already did. Already done.
Well, I mean, if you can kind of trying to come over in Ward E a little bit, you know, I know, like I said, at Tucker, I mean, just a tad.
Yeah, we've
We in
done.
Ward E now, right?
Who?
We in Ward E.
I mean, well, you got Dagner, but,
And then the other house we just built last year
Yeah.
on Stoke Street. So we've done 2 in that
Yeah.
neighborhood. We've done 1 in Barber's neighborhood, Miss Kelly. Harris Street we did 1, and there's 1 more, 2 more, and I can't remember where they are. But right now the money's committed over on East End to finish up some of those
Gotcha.
homes over there. All right.
okay. Sounds good.
Next item, connecting line from the main to the property. Section 62-129. If you read the black section, the red bold part, the current ordinance says the work of running connection lines from the town sewer to the property line of the owner shall be done by the owner. We often get times when people come back and we'll set a water meter at the property line, and then the property owner owns from the meter box back to the house. We retain the meter and the line going back to the main. We may charge them if it's a new house for the materials and Andre's time to put it in, but long-term maintenance, we own that meter box and we keep it. The sewer line is different than a lot of places. A lot of people say, oh, no, that's not how it works. The town's ordinance says you own your sewer line, irregardless if it goes under the road, it goes across your neighbor's property, you own your sewer line from the main line back to your house. Okay? Back to the property line. It's not, even if it's in the town's right of way, it's still the responsibility of the owner to own it. We talked a little bit about the compaction of trenches and putting asphalt. As a matter of practice, we've never charged anybody to come back 6 months later and pave a sewer or water line cut. We've always just tried to get it thrown in when I got the papers in town, maybe we can do it and let's get it done. And so we never charge. So we're codifying what we're already doing. And it says the owner shall be responsible for restoration of the utility trench within the town's right of way. Basically, they got to put stone back in that ditch and tamp it back. Okay. The town shall, at its expense, pave the utility trench within its right of way. And that's what we've always been doing, but it's never been written down. And I think there was some question. I can't remember what brought it up, but
That older gentleman that moved here and came in his suit and he was questioning the sewer and water lines, you remember? And it was
Same when there was a
remember that
question in the
little
fire department and all that,
gentleman?
yeah.
Yes, that's the gentleman that had all the questions that was new to town. And so it came up then.
Did he live on
That's
Gravity?
not true.
He
That's
lived on Gravit or maybe.
Maybe one of those, that's right.
You was the one that said black son of Puerto Rico.
Oh, goody.
Had a question in the budget line item.
they did. But this is already what we're doing. We're not taking on any more expense. I don't go back and bill somebody 6 months later for asphalt that we put in. I just don't. But it is a contractor's responsibility to make sure that thing's tamped back so it doesn't settle. Other than that, I would ask that the recommendation be made to the council, because this is an ordinance, and we'll have to have a public hearing. And if it's agreeable, then the recommendation would be to advertise for a public hearing.
So moved,
so moved.
Second. Oh,
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, next one. This is an interesting one. This is one where you gotta put on your lawyer hat. If you go to page 2 of the next ordinance that we've got, I don't think you guys have seen this, and it wasn't referred by the mayor. I'll tell you how this came about. It says offenses involving health and safety, discharge of firearms. This is our ordinance about shooting a gun in the town of Blacksburg. If you go to the second page, under section H, okay? Remember, the prohibition against the discharge of a firearm shall not apply to the killing of deer pursuant to Virginia code. This exemption shall apply on land of at least 5 acres that is zoned agricultural use. Okay? And we'll keep on going. The use of shotguns and rifles of less than .23 caliber and bows and arrows The use of shotguns and rifles of less than .23 caliber and bows and arrows to hunt in compliance with state law shall be permitted on tracts of land of 50 acres or more in agricultural zones. The common denominator there is agricultural zones. And we don't have any agricultural zones in the town. We have 50-acre tracts, and we have properties that look like agricultural, but there's nothing zoned agricultural in Blackstone. So this past fall, the gentleman who owns this property, including this purple, okay, up here on Northwest Avenue, came to me and said, I'd like to have a dove hunt on my property. I'd like to be able to shoot guns. I'd like to shoot quail. I think he likes raising birds and something like that. So let me read the ordinance. Shotgun. Ooh, it says agricultural zones. He said, it's a bean field right now. I mean, that's agricultural. So I sat down with Tessie, and I said, Tessie, what you think? Because he was wanting an answer, so he could have his stew and hunt. And she said, yes, indeed, it is an agricultural use that is the equivalent of an agricultural zone. Okay? So Tessie said she was okay with it and told him so in person in my office. Well, that was all fine and good. I think we were over that hump. The second time came up, and this is the difficult or more challenging part, is there was a group of guys that were hunting on Todd Pridgeon's land. Okay? And Todd Pridgeon's land, it's a local bunch of guys that hunt out there.
Now, we're talking about Todd's land or his father's land?
Probably, it's on Pridgeon land, it may be his daddy's place, but it's inside
But
town.
Todd's the one making the complaint.
It's a big cutover.
Yeah.
If you ever go down there, it's that cutover you go to when you go to Spring Hill.
On the left-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this year, I think Todd or his dad had given the guys permission to go hunting, but they somehow the game warden got contacted, not, I don't think because they violated anything, but because they were wanting to make sure they weren't going to get in trouble. And the game warden read this and said, oh, it's not zoned agriculture, you can't hunt it. Okay? So what I'm asking to do is I would like to have a public hearing to change the word zoned agriculture to agriculture or civiculture. Civiculture is raising trees and pine trees and all that sort of thing. We got one guy that's doing it, because Tessie said it was okay. This one never came to us. Went to
But is this out in the area that supposedly one day we'd want to put stuff on? Like we were talking about before? Where
You
this,
mean like a development?
yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to see that. That's 500 acres.
so we'd have to go back and change.
No, we're not gonna change the zoning. It'll still be zoned residential. But we're just gonna, instead of saying zoned agricultural, it's being used for agricultural purposes, or silviculture, which is
So where
true
it says
farming.
land of at least 5 acres that is,
Zone, or excuse me,
You're gonna
that
take-
is used for agricultural or silvicultural
that is
purposes.
used for agriculture or silviculture.
And that's only the part with the state code where there's permits that the state gives out, and there may be nuisance permits or something.
And then we would do the same thing for the tracts of land, 50 acres or more, in agricultural.
More being used for agricultural or silvicultural activities.
Okay.
Okay? I can test it right it up correctly.
So that's the only area you talking about? I'm just a little nervous right there right there at the church with so many people.
Two areas that have come to our attention. This one, that the guy came to me directly, which is across, here's Spring Hill Road.
And then
Across
right
the
over
road.
there in that, yeah.
And the other one is this yellow, and I think this is the church right here. They're down by the railroad track. So it's that yellow, it's that cutover, where they just cut the timber when you're driving in on the left-hand side. There was some guy in Little that wanted to go deer hunt, and the animal, or the game warden said,
Want to go deer hunting and cut over?
I don't know, just make me a little nervous because I know it's one side that I was coming from a meeting. And I just seen them all over and it just, to me, it's just kind of a little nervous, with us, right there at church and stuff, people out and about and,
and you can just say then agricultural activity and not silviculture. Silviculture is growing trees. If you were to just say agriculture, then you got the other side.
I don't know what y'all think, I don't know.
Or we
I
can
just-
come back and,
I
we
just
don't
thought
have
it
the
was a
hunt
little-
season coming for a
A
while.
little dangerous.
So
Hunters hunt on Sunday too?
Huh?
Hunters, they hunt anytime they get ready.
you can
People
hunt
that's
on
hunting.
Sundays.
Yeah.
You can hunt on Sunday.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, so this exemption shall apply on land of at least 5 acres. Where else could you do it?
No.
5 acres.
We're only concerned with specifically Section I, that's a town rule. This state rule, and I'll read that to you right now. 29.1.
But, so this exemption shall apply on land of at least 5 acres that is zoned for agricultural use. So then if someone in town has 5 acres, then they can kill deer.
No.
And that wouldn't be a code that the town has
In accordance with the
adopted?
Virginia Code section.
That wouldn't be a code that the town has adopted?
529. I'll read it to you real quick. Ugh, I got one there.
Don't get the fine print.
Does it have a subsection?
I just think we're allowed
Read that whole thing.
in the area. I think it's a little dangerous.
The town should have a buffer.
It's about damage stamps. You know, people can go out and shoot deer if they're eating the crops. Wherever 29.1-529, game can be killed in the town of Blackstone in accordance with this, and that code section says whenever deer, elk, or bear are damaging fruit trees, crops, livestock, or personal property utilized for commercial agricultural production, the Commonwealth, the owner, lessee of the land in which the damage is done, shall immediately report the damage to the director or his designee for investigation. After investigation, you know, they give out permits. We can shoot them at night, do stuff like that. That is permissible in the town on 5 acres or more in accordance.
So where is there 5 acres? Who could do it? Is there more, is there any
No.
people here that have got 5 acres?
Courthouse, or Nottaway Avenue, you know that big cutover down there across from Peanut Johnson's house? That's more by there. There's plenty of places in town that could be done, but it's gotta be for commercial agricultural activity. So if I'm looking at that, I would say that I know of, Nell Carwild's cornfield down there below, the, drive-in at the shopping center, the bank. If you go past that, like you're on the camera to the cornfield to the right,
Right.
that's in town. Commercial agriculture, more than 5 acres, I think that they would be permitted to shoot deer at night. I'm sure that, I would hope that the chief would be involved. That's the state code, it's permissible, and our town ordinance says you can do it on commercial agricultural activities. But there would be another, okay? Do I know of anybody that does it? I do not know of anybody that's asked to do it, or applied to do it, or notified us they can do it.
It was a deer in my yard. In my yard one night when I got home,
So,
scared the daylight. Now what if I had shot him?
You cannot.
Were you
shoot
packing
at
one?
5 acres.
Huh?
What are you packing?
you could not shoot them because you're not commercially growing crops or fruit or trees or any of that stuff, and you're not on 5 acres, so you could not shoot said deer.
What if I was defending my property? If he's jumping up in my, trying to go in my window or something, couldn't I?
What deer you got in yours?
I don't know how to answer that particular question, but
Good question.
can you shoot a nuisance deer in town? I would say
Yeah.
I
probably
would.
the best thing for you to do is call the police department and let them
If
dispatch
it's
game.
coming at me, yeah, I want to shoot it.
I would not recommend doing it. Okay.
Well, I probably would miss anyway, so. But maybe it run off.
29.1-529 discusses damage stamps. You can't just go out and shoot it anyhow. Say you were growing parsley in your backyard or whatever it was 5 acres, you still have to report it to the game commission. They still have to give you a permit to do it, and they'd have to go out there and inspect it maybe and look at it.
Can we just let this fester until we get close to next hunting season?
What?
Yeah,
We'll just sit and let this fester until we get close to next hunting season.
I wouldn't even bring it up unless somebody, I mean, you know what I'm saying? If ain't
It's
nobody
coming up
bring-
again
Yeah.
because Jason Walker, we've already met with Tessie, and she said, "Oh, I'm fine with it now. I'm good. He can shoot the shotgun because it's agricultural activities of 50 acres and all that sort of thing. He's not shooting them at night. He's not doing a nuisance thing." The question that came up, the second question, were the pigeons called me. What do you mean we can't hunt them? And I think the game warden told me they couldn't because it was not zoned agricultural.
Well, let's just put this off until we get
Yeah,
close to
let's-
next hunting season.
Yeah, let's leave it
Hands up,
right
put
now.
it up.
And we'd probably be more suited to put a map in here right
It
there where
was
that
up there.
is.
We took it down.
When-
I mean, you can keep this, just move that somewhere else, but if you could put that right here where we could all
We
see.
could probably take that down since it's from
2013.
2013.
Well, I mean, 2013, I'm sorry.
We will do that tomorrow. We'll get the
And
sign
we'll put
down.
this map back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can be,
So
These
we're
are the same.
tabling,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
tabling at this time.
Tabling at this time.
All right.
I just think it'd be good to have that hanging up so we can reference it.
Oh, yeah.
Deposit exceptions. I think we've already changed this, haven't we? We'll let Jennifer handle this one.
Brenda Bryant, our utilities person, she lets us know, you know, what actually is done with utilities. The one with the star by it, letter B, they do not do that. The town does not do that. This ordinance was from years and years ago, and so we're just finally trying to go through and update stuff and get it straight. So if the utility service has been disconnected and or placed on the cutoff list twice within a 12-month period, the customer will be required to post a deposit equaling 2 times the average monthly bill for the past 12 months. The town doesn't make people do that. So we just want to take that out, and make the ordinance correct.
If they couldn't pay the bill, how they gonna pay two months?
Yeah. So we don't make them do that here.
Okay.
So, just to make the ordinance correct, we want to remove that, and that is going to require another public hearing. Even though it is less.
I'm an advocate, if you're gonna change a ordinance, I believe a public hearing should be held. I think there've been some legal opinions that say, well, if it's making it less restrictive, then you may not have to. To be safe, it's a 3-line, 4-line advertisement in the paper, and
So
you can't make a mistake.
if y'all approve of this, you can make a motion to have the public hearing. The public hearing will not be at the February meeting, but we'll bring it up at the meeting to have a public hearing in March.
So moved.
Okay?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then if you look at the very back here, the mayor, after I sent out the notification for the meeting, he asked to add the questions for the referendum. And on the very last page, he's provided sample questions that he wanted the committee to review.
And I do think I still owe you another confirming or non-confirming cost estimate. We have a cost estimate for this indoor pool and community center and all that, but it was prepared by, the architect that's working with the Armory Group. So I think we, last time, or maybe in this committee or the full council, I think they wanted to kind of polish that number a little bit. And what I told you guys was, our engineers, B&B, went back and looked at the per square foot cost, and they felt like the per square foot cost was appropriate. But do you need a 18,000 square foot basketball court, or indoor basketball area or something like that? The key is how big, and what was specified in that report would really be, I think it was 16 or 18,000 square feet, which I think is bigger than probably what we needed. It had a very big swimming pool.
Well, you're taking it out of the range of approachable with that size of a figure, and it's not fair to put something that's not gonna work up against the Armory that,
I think myself.
I mean, you gotta be realistic.
Well, there's folks in town that want swimming pools. There are folks in town that want
I don't mind,
recreation.
you know,
So-
you're not gonna need an Olympic-sized swimming pool at a community center.
So I need to
You're not
get,
gonna need a walking track.
No.
I mean, a
You can walk
walking track is
outside.
something you can put in later.
You don't even need a pool, period. I don't think you need a pool, period. Now, you can have space to where if later on you wanted to add it,
I think a pool probably.
man, you got a lot going with a pool. You got to increase the insurance. You can't get people to sit over at the Carriage Museum. You're gonna have lifeguards sitting in the whole time it's open. It's not gonna happen.
But you got to pay.
And the walking trail, I think, is what Philip's working on now, on the outside.
An
to go
outside
around
walking
the-
trail.
That's
to
what
go
I was
around the
like
ball
it.
field.
Yeah,
I'm all
Around the
for
Gator
walking
Field,
trail.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
What a,
I think we might have a little problem with about if we say cut the swimming pool.
Oh, yeah, that's a,
Everybody wants a swimming pool.
that's a big,
well, I'm
that's a
not,
big problem.
you know, you can have space for it at a later date, but I just don't think it's feasible right now.
we'll give you prices and then y'all can figure out which one is certain thing and
Then they're gonna
do all
increase
that.
the pond and drain.
Yeah, a lot of kids are drowning, can't swim. A lot of kids can't swim.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Kids, grown folks too, I can't swim.
You know, it says right here, a yes vote encourages town council to begin renovation in 2021-20. The town will apply legally for grants funded from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, financing over a 30-year period. Who decided on it?
What did you say?
I said, who decided on it?
What it
Right
may
on this
be,
piece of paper?
I think some of that information came out of that, remember the VML Vico?
When the guy came here
That
a
study
few
and
months
this is what
ago.
it's gonna cost. I think some of the data came from that, but I think the email came directly out of the man. But I think the information he's used about the 30-year financing and all that that's part of that recommendation from the VML VACO group if you were to do it.
And I think that that description is because they were talking about on, if we get the referendum, that, I think Tessie said you could hand out pamphlets of information to people when, on the voting day. So I think that that's what that is just
Yeah, you can't
talking
put that
about.
much in the
So
ballot.
is this county or town?
Town, just town.
Damn.
Just then.
Only town residents.
So the first question reads, should the town of Blackstone spend up to 2.1 million fully renovating the town-owned Harris Memorial Armory on North Harris Street for a multi-use community center? Then the second question is, should the town of Blackstone instead spend up to whatever million to construct a new recreation center with indoor pool, indoor track, and basketball court to be located at whatever location? So that's what the mayor is proposing for questions.
Those numbers are big, the ones that we originally had, they were.
What if I'm saying, if you add the pool, which is not a necessity right now, and it's just gonna keep jacking the figure up, and when everybody looks at this, they're gonna pick for the lowest cost,
Or they're gonna pick neither.
or neither.
But, you know, indoor pool, I don't think that was ever even brought up, was it? I didn't hear anything about an indoor pool, I heard something about an indoor walking track.
Pool's been thrown around a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
but not indoor, man.
So that's outside
I
and
thought
outdoor.
this was an outside pool.
Sure, well, I thought it was the inside.
The price quotes
I would
that we
think if
got
you did get a
was an
pool, you
indoor
would want it somewhere inside where it can be secured.
The price
Good
quotes
night, thank
we had received that you guys had seen, and I can get more copies of everybody if you need that. That was an indoor pool, is what was price quoted.
If you were gonna do a pool, it'd have to be indoor,
Indoor.
because you'd have to have it secured at nighttime.
Come Chesterfield, Prince Edward, getting ready, Richmond City, Pittsburgh to get it, and we gotta go through all this.
They got a YMCA
Yeah.
farmable.
And they got
So
more
you
money
know,
coming in too.
I met with the county,
Can't help we poor for.
hold on a minute. I met with
All in geographic.
the assistant county administrator in Prince Edward, is a very nice young woman named Sarah Puckett, and she's very helpful. And I called her one day, I said, how did y'all get YMCA down there in Farmville? Tell me what you had to do. Well, one, they had a little more population in the colleges, I think that YMCA was kinda interested. Two, they had to give the YMCA the land that building was built on. They gave them $1.5 million cash to build the YMCA.
And the county helped out.
The county put $1.5 million into that YMCA.
Well, go
And
ask,
the land for
ask
free.
our county for some money, Philip.
Shit, they won't use money to tear down their own school building over there.
I just
They
don't
won't give us money to
understand why
tear
we
it down.
can't, they can't help do it. I mean, you know, help us
If you
with
scratch
something,
up the indoor
You would
pool,
think.
but just put pool out there.
cause it's happening, you
Scratch
know,
this
all
track,
the way the
and
whole.
just put a
field
pool
for
and
everybody,
basketball.
really.
Right, just can't not away county.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of for what?
So I
What was
think we need
that,
to clarify
Mr.
what it
Bell?
is we wanna,
My
on the agenda?
recommendation was, you know, forget the indoor pool. Say outdoor pool, don't even put the track in a basketball court. That would cut the cost down a hell of a lot of questions too.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you should leave the pool out for right now, but leave space for it. Because everything you put in on this figure down here, if anybody's gonna agree to one, they're gonna pick the lowest figure. Either that or they're gonna say, well, I don't think we need either one. So you're pretty much
You don't put the
killing the
swimming pool
community
in
some,
there, that's gonna be a
with the
problem.
more stuff you wanna put on
Right.
it, put it up against
You
the
talking
armory.
Indoor track, and you talking about an indoor pool, that's gonna jack that up to about
When
$5 or $6
I was growing up, we ran around the gym floor up at the high school, so if you wanna run around something, you run around the basketball court.
Well, that's gonna be a problem too if you don't have the pool.
You use the school facility.
well, the problem with the schools, just so you know, is during basketball season, that joker is
Pack.
packed. It's got all the practices from rec league.
I'm talking about doing the summertime.
In the summertime, yeah, you can do that, but in the wintertime,
I know
you know,
you can't do
basketball's
that.
going on, it's hard to get in there. And that's when you need the indoor more. In the wintertime, or in the summertime, we play outside, get lights and down to.
Most of them kids doing rec ball anyway, so they wouldn't be doing it.
So, question. So just say with the armory. So they're looking, they're saying like, what is he saying here to? Somewhere I read, he said something about like weddings and receptions and different things like that. So would we need a town employee to be over there at all times to run that building?
If you look at that study that we did, we proposed a part-time person to work over there, and then someone to clean, doing custodial work. So maybe you have a half-time person cleaning and a half-time person who works over there. It may be one equivalent full-time person, but I don't think you'll have any full-time people, probably two part-time people is what the.
And then with the community center,
Mhm.
do you have a full-time person over there?
I hope not. My plan, if it were to work, would be that LCCDC helps us staff it certainly during the day, okay, and after school hours, okay? And if Yvonne watches this tape, I'm sure she'd be mortified because I haven't sat down and talked to her about it. But I would love to have a role for LCCDC in a better building and be able to provide some of that support. I don't know if they would be an appropriate support at the armory if it's not gonna be for recreation or after-school programs. Because that's what she's trying to do, is give kids stuff to do in the afternoon,
Yeah.
computer lab and all that kind of stuff. And
So then her volunteers would be there too.
during the day hours, we may have to have, if we're gonna have basketball, or we're gonna have swimming at night, or whatever we're gonna have, yeah, you're gonna pay some folks to be there at night.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to.
But I'm like Lonnie, I think y'all should just scratch this into a pool, cut the cost to the community somehow, towards the end.
Or to make it competitive.
One thing you can do is just say 2.1 or 2, and I think the number is 2.3 million for the armory. If I'm not mistaken, that was given to us by Brian Green, who is genuinely a decent fellow that helped the armory out. Or just say the same price for either one, 2.3 million.
Or say up to 2.3
2.3
million for the
million.
army and up to
I think that's a good
2.3
idea because
million
you can
for
put a community center up for that. Come on.
Huh?
You can put a community center up for $2.3 million.
So,
Well, they
so,
built those gyms at the schools for $950,000 a piece now. It's been 10 years or whatever it's been since they've done it. I think you can do them for a reasonable amount, but I don't think they need to be as big. Because the armory is 19,000 square feet. That's why they said a comparable community center of 19,000 square feet, but I don't think you need that. And you certainly don't need that giant swimming pool. So, in their effort to show, or Brian Green's effort to show apples to apples, same square footage amounts, okay? He said 19,000 for a new building, 19,000 square feet for a new building, just because the armory is 19,000 square feet. But armory is what it is. I don't think you need to replicate that necessarily. I think you can condense it.
Right.
And the thing maybe to do is say 2.3 million on this, or 2.3, because you know what it's gonna cost, right?
Yeah,
You know,
but I
with
think
that
it's
service
better to
level.
have it comparable.
I
I
do
mean-
think the swimming pool and nighttime activities are gonna require probably some more folks. You know, lifeguards and all that kind of stuff, if you have that going on, and, somebody needs to be there with kids, if they're gonna be in there playing basketball, you're probably gonna need somebody, if it's not a volunteer, or Reverend Black, I think had a program at one time, from over Spring Hill.
Digging flag, digging flag,
Yeah.
digging flag.
So he's down there, he's kinda kicked over that, cops go down there, and I think that the chief of police had a basketball league at one time, different stuff, so,
Yeah, but I think that was mainly in the summertime, cause I
yeah,
know
that's right.
during the school year, he'd be working, so I probably had to get somebody to
Any
do that,
volunteer would be
hire
great.
somebody,
But I would budget for having to have somebody
Yeah,
down there.
Mr. Avenue was doing it from 2 to 4 and Digging Black to the 6 to 8.
Yeah, so there's ways to do it, but I think at a minimum, you're gonna have to have a half-time person there who's there in the evenings or on Saturdays or something like that to do stuff. But if Yvonne's got her volunteers there, surely they can hand out a basketball or fill out an accident form or do those kinds of things at the building, so that could save some money during the day, but nighttime, no, I
She don't close till what, about 6 or 7?
say what?
I don't think they close till about 6 or 7, right?
I don't know.
I think it's about 6 or 7.
So,
So
that
can
may be the fair thing to do, just give it a dollar figure. Boom, we know they ad nauseum said this is what it's gonna cost to renovate the armory, okay? So let's say the comparable amount. Do you need 19,000? Yeah, I don't think you need all that big stuff, and I think that inflates the number. So if you go and tell somebody it's $5 million versus $2 million,
then,
the
yeah.
$5 million is gonna get smoked, there's just no way.
But then if
anybody's
you
gonna
say
go
an
for
up to figure for both, then
the
that's,
same figure for
this is
both.
all you got.
Up to this
I think
amount
we
for the
should do that,
construction.
don't you?
Huh?
I think we should do that. Put the same figure on both of them.
Yeah.
And then you sit back and say, all right, what's priority one? Is that indoor?
Well, not only that, but it'll give people a little bit more stuff to think about instead of looking like, hell, we're not gonna spend that much money on, oh, wait a minute, we got this or that, let me see, I think it'll give everybody a chance to stop and say, let me think about this for a second before I just.
So,
So can I ask a silly question that I honestly don't know the answer to? How come we can't do it all in one building? How come you can't do the community center and everything? Just say at the Armory, why couldn't you have a pool over there and do a track and do everything as one? Wouldn't you stand a better chance of everybody? Is there a reason
Well,
why?
the reason why it's come to this is because of the division.
So some people don't want everything at the
Right.
Armory, is that right?
Some
I just
people
wanna-
don't
I'm
want
just
the
trying to
Armory,
be clear.
period.
I think there's some sensitivity.
See,
there.
there again,
That's true.
there again, he's saying about,
Pardon?
okay, what was you saying, Miller? Not
said-
Miller Fitzgerald.
Taylor.
Taylor, I'm thinking on the street. Mr. Taylor, I'm sorry.
We all look like black. You think the Blackstone Arbor Committee be on board with what you just say?
I honestly don't know what's happening to me. I'm just asking, I just feel like maybe it would sell better if everything could be in one location.
I can tell you what they're gonna say on Facebook. Heck no.
Okay.
I'm just
I'm
sick
just-
of,
About
I'm
I'm
what
sorry, I was
they're
sick of
saying. See, I think
Facebook.
that's what we need to get out this thing, us as the town need to make a decision and what we can afford. You know, I'm kinda like you. We know we can't afford both of them. You're gonna have some people upset if
think
you
every
got
one of
the
the others.
armory, and then if you don't have the armory and have the community center, you still gonna have people upset. So,
So that's why I was saying,
You know-
why couldn't you combine it? But
you know,
people
have
don't want
all
that.
of it,
Is that
have
right?
everything that everybody wants, really. I mean, I don't know.
But you know, one thing about that, they can't do no more than council's office to do. Regardless, if we say we put your ass in one building. they
I'm
say
in a
they don't-
meeting.
They can't say something to each other.
Emily,
This is what council said. This is not what the Armory Group or Peanut
Yeah,
said.
because it ain't
This is
there,
what- this
yeah.
up here is what's said.
Yeah, it
And that's
ain't what the
people need
committee
to
want,
realize.
yeah.
You need to realize this is what's up here.
And
Decides
they're already
who gets
saying
what.
that the town is divided, you know, there's races and all this stuff, so why you want to do two separate, why not put it all together?
Two separate would be the kiss of death, in my opinion.
It
Simply
will,
because
it will be
Yeah.
a
it would be a
nightmare
black
from
community
get-go.
center, it'd be a white community center, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be, it wouldn't be a rule,
that would be so
but
bad.
people would segregate themselves.
Yeah,
And that's the last thing the town needs more than.
1954.
So then it would make sense to have the one building that's already there and do everything in one
Everything
building,
in one
wouldn't
building.
it? Or not?
Well,
I
in
don't know.
order to
It makes
do
sense
that,
to me.
you would have to do a hell of a lot of changing. Cause you couldn't say the Armory Committee they control this or
well,
Peanut
well,
control
well, they
that.
don't need to have any part of it, really.
Look, I mean,
You know, just form a new
look-
Well,
committee.
if it were to go ahead with the Armory, then the committee would probably be abolished, right?
Yeah,
It may be advisory or something, but yeah, you start spending people's money, they want you all to fuss at, they don't want
That's
to.
If
right.
if it's
Yeah.
agreed on that the Armory goes, I think any type of support or Armory group or anything should be abolished, and then it goes with the
exactly.
town from there on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It ain't about what they want, you know, I think
It's
that's,
not about two people. I always say this. It's not about Walter Mack. It's not about Peanut. It's about these citizens, these taxpayers.
exactly.
And we are the ones that control this money.
Not Facebook.
So, oh man, I'm gonna beat up on Facebook so much I don't even care. I just laugh. Go get me a beer.
Y'all wanna give it a little time? Literally, this thing is still snaking its way, if you read the paper today,
Well,
when it was going to Senate.
I think the fair thing to do would be to put the same figure on both,
Whatever it is, but the same
whatever it
thing.
is. Because easily you can build a community center for $2.1 million, come on.
Put it in the middle building.
A nice one. How much
And-
think a metal building would cost?
I believe I could put the footprint of a basketball court, which is 90 by, what's basketball court, 90 by 45 or something thereabouts. I think I could put the footprint of that, not finished, but you could have a slab, the building, insulation, I think, and underlayment of the, the utilities that are under the concrete, they can do it for $400. But then we still gotta put the lights in, and we still gotta put the HVAC system and plumbing and.
But you still want area for LCCDC too, so it'd have to be larger, right? Than you want it larger than a
It
basketball.
would need to be larger, yep.
Yes.
Which if you had $2.1 million for it, you could go larger with it.
But I don't think it's gonna do you a swimming pool,
Like the computer room for some computers and stuff like that, and,
computer lab.
yeah.
We've been back and forth in this thing.
You could always
Years.
keep the building up, and then budget for the swimming pool on the next budget.
Can't do it all at one time.
I guess it'll give you an idea how many people can really use it if you let it go a year or so.
I think kids are gonna use it. If you can play ball in there,
Now, I would tell you, when we were growing up, it was loaded at the Pickett Pool every summer.
Oh, yeah,
Loaded.
yeah, yeah. When I came here in '73.
swimming pool gonna get used. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna get you.
You had the Fed in charge of it.
But then you gotta have the right people.
Watch it.
You have got to have
Gotta the
responsible
right
people in there.
because you gonna have a mess on your hand.
Yep.
Cause somebody, I mean, a lot of them drop the kids off and go about their business.
That's where you gotta come in with your rules.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is not a babysitting gig.
You put that pool out there, yeah, you gotta have an adult or somebody who can be responsible.
That's why it might make more sense to have one inside, at least that way it's locked up and kids can't get into it at night. Cause I know, when I was younger, I have climbed over a fence or two to
You've
go
never been in a
swimming.
country club.
I have climbed a fence or
Stay.
two and gone.
Are we
into
still
the
being
pool at
recorded?
night.
Are we still being recorded?
Yes,
That's
we're still recording, we're still recording, so.
I just think it should be comparable prices.
I think the pricing should be the same, simply because making a new building so big just to make it the same square footage, when it doesn't need to be, I think skews the figures.
Right.
Skews the-
Yeah.
So we would like to recommend to council, so the questions are, should the town of Blackstone spend up to 2.1 million to renovate the Harrisonburg Armory, or should the town spend up to
2.1 million.
to construct a new recreation center?
Uh-huh.
And we wouldn't have to include all
Indoor
the
pool, indoor
stuff,
track.
just to construct it and,
You can make it work in the same amount of money, 2 point whatever million dollars.
so, would y'all like to make a recommendation to council?
I would like to make a recommendation to council that we put the same pricing on both the
Second.
Harris Memorial Army renovation as well as the, money for the new recreation center, 2.1 million for both.
I would leave the 2.1 out, because that number could change, you know, 2
All
years
right.
later, we bid or whatever, but just say that and we'll come up with the price, exactly, and everybody can live with it, whatever it is, you know, same.
So by the time the referendum's here, we'll have a price,
Oh, absolutely.
but not just, and it would be the same for both, okay.
Right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Philip, do you have anything else?
Nothing? Do you have any questions about anything going on in town, or anything that you have interest or questions about?
I do.
Yes, sir.
When you pull into this is just a question because I'm not exactly sure, because the hole around has been caused by the water meter casing. But over here to Progressive Therapy,
I got an email about it the other day, we gotta dig it up.
well, I dropped into that thing the other day and I almost hit my head on the one that bumped me.
Did you?
So, but yeah, it's a huge hole
It
right
is a
there.
big hole. We
The
gotta
one
dig it up.
behind the bank?
Look,
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's where I'm supposed to be going for therapy.
The sinkholes are getting deeper down there. You have the town, they end up spending more money fixing people.
Where, East End?
Work that. They got some holes down there.
There's holes everywhere.
Swimming pools, man.
But I would like to
It
tell
goes swimming.
Philip, I would like to tell you, since they replaced that grate and everything at our corner, that has worked a lot better.
Has it better?
Yes.
Well, I hoped to make it bigger than I did, or Jason came back to me, and when I saw it framed up, I said, damn, is that gonna be big enough? He said, let's give it a try, if it ain't big enough, and it keeps on gapping up,
It still backs up at times, but it's not nowhere near as bad as it was.
it has room for the pine tag now to get into that throat of that.
Well, it got a real test here the past week or so. and
Well,
it's-
good,
it's
that's
done
good
pretty
news,
good.
because we're satisfied that whatever.
We
we
rode out
did
there
worked.
last Friday and checked this stuff out.
There's a bunch of stuff. Anytime you got a grate where the water's going into a flat grate, leaves, man, it just, you regular leaves. And we tried to fix the one down at the corner of Birch and Oak. So you know when we're doing that sidewalk, we wanna put a bigger box, and the reason we didn't do it is the water line's in the way. And I didn't wanna get into moving the water line and the cost of that, so I
But
just
Efron's,
did it.
up there, Miss Thompson area, Efron's, that's improved a whole lot up there by Efron's store.
Oh, good.
That's improved a whole lot.
There you go, we put a little valley gutter down on Luke
Yeah,
Street.
that's improved a
Yeah,
whole lot.
I think that's helped a little bit. He was really getting inundated, I mean, right there behind, Calvin Perry's
Yeah.
building. There was a mud hole back there, and so we did a little valley gutter, and it seemed to help out a bunch. Drainage, street committee's gonna be full of drainage requests and all kinds of stuff.
I got a question.
Yes,
Go ahead.
When y'all start on this, phase 2 project
yes, sir.
by the water and sewer,
Yes.
I got a couple of neighbors in my area. How far y'all coming on that land, brother?
Logically, we would come to the property line. But in phase one, we said, no, we wanna replace all the old stuff, if you remember, all the way down to the house. So we would go to within 5 feet of the foundation of the house with the water and sewer line. Replace it, so you got new. Some houses, especially older houses, believe it or not, in Blackstone in this day and time still have Orangeburg pipe, which is paper. They have a paper sewer line. It's tar paper just wrapped up, and that's the technology of the 1940s, 1950s, and then it went to terracotta, or flower pot, but a thick flower pot, and then concrete, and now the technology of the day is plastic. So we still have Orangeburg pipe. Bobby and Gail Wells. When we did that sewer line down there, their house still had Orangeburg pipe, and it was kind of crushed as it was. And,
It's amazing that it's lasted this long.
and it lasted
I know
this
that's
long.
what
So what can I, what,
Yeah.
what can I tell them with?
Up to the house.
Up to
We
the
will go
house.
back to the foundation of the house, or just outside the foundation.
So you come on that property?
We will, unless they tell us not to.
Is that gonna be sort of like the East End grant, you know, you gotta do whether you own your home or whatever?
Yeah, it'd be the same thing. East End grant, right now, we're doing homeowners, we're trying to finish up with the homeowners, and then landlords are eligible, but we did the homeowners first, and then we did the land.
I was noticing not long ago, that road is awful.
Who?
Sheila's.
Was what?
Awful.
Our road.
Yeah.
Didn't we work on it the other day?
But still, just keep putting dirt or whatever you guys
Put
put
millings
on.
in there.
Yeah, it's still, that thing need to be smooth and some black, it's awful. Seriously. So I mean, what
Maybe
can
we
we
can,
do?
once we knock the school down, we can put like ground up brick
Put the bricks in there.
all the way down to the house.
Yeah,
That stuff
I'm
actually,
Before I get in there,
Isn't bad.
before I get in there, and I don't mind doing it, I have no problem going down there and doing a bunch of work down there. I think the street committee's gonna talk about COVID policies
I'm in a
and
meeting.
policies and all that kind of stuff.
I'm in a
That
meeting.
strip of land that the road's on,
I'm
I
coming
don't
in a
believe
little
belongs to
bit.
the town. But we use it with the garbage trucks, and that's why we have gone by, we went to the council, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and said we were gonna do it. And council let me go back year after year to patch potholes and do stuff.
yeah, but once it gets wet, I
Yeah,
think,
it's-
like that
it's
garbage truck with all that extra weight,
Yeah,
The
it,
truck is
Yeah.
marred everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad.
gotta have it though,
Yeah.
gotta have it.
I would ask that, I mean, I can build a road, I mean, I built a nice road. But we're gonna have to do some road, like right-of-way acquisition, somebody's gotta give us some easements or something, so that we can maintain it long term, right?
Yeah.
'Cause right now, it's just a strip of undesignated property.
Well, I don't
And
think
you
that'll
don't
be
own
a
it.
problem.
And I don't know who owns it, it's just a little strip runs down through there, but it's not you, it's not Possum Jones's property, because they come off of that, it's just an old,
Actually, it's the Sheltons or whatever, but I don't think they have a problem with that.
if we can just do things by the book and get an
Yeah.
easement and all that, then we just tell the guys, this is part of our
If it don't cost them
responsibility.
nothing, it won't be no problem.
Could you add that to one?
As long as it ain't costing nothing.
Yeah.
You start
I don't think I can
charging
pay
them,
it, but I
it
can
will
share
be a
with
problem.
you.
You know, we put that, that ground
Yeah,
up
I mean,
asphalt down at Lisa's grandma's house, and that thing that's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The ground up asphalt we had put in that driveway to Lisa's grandma, that stuff has worked great.
It'll hold.
Yes, sir.
That's what we've been putting in your driveway, but at the end result is our garbage truck going in and out of there.
Yeah, it's a
Poo
mess.
nest in it. Now, council did authorize me to look at the size of the pipe already, and I haven't done that. I need to get B&B to come down there and look at the drainage area. Is the pipe big enough? If not, then we need to put a new pipe in. But the guys, I can send them back down there and try to smooth it out, but I don't think the garbage truck is doing you any favors going back up. You can put your garbage up there by the road.
You gonna put it in your car and just put it up by the
You can
road?
put your
tomorrow?
garbage
No, but you know, it's another house down there too. Yeah,
Jones' house right before you get to.
Yeah, 'cause Robert take the garbage out himself.
There's
I mean, they
3 or 4
don't even
houses.
pick up ours.
We don't?
No, 'cause Robert take it out.
When the garbage truck goes down there and gets
Yeah,
somebody. I
yeah.
don't know who
Well,
it
The
is.
sheriff
It's the
takes off
next
his
house.
trash.
Yeah.
So does the clerk.
Y'all just don't utilize the town truck or what?
We don't, 'cause Robert just always take it out.
They don't pick mine up either, I take mine out too.
So does the clerk.
I bring mine.
Are we ready to
Are you
conclude this
ready to
meeting?
adjourn?
Journal?
I'll adjourn this meeting at
Let's just say
7
7.
o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got something done.
Yeah, it